Alright guys, this is experiment 12 for Chem 110. We're going to do qualitative analysis. Probably one of my favorite labs of this term, and a lot of other people who've taught this lab before feel the same way. You get to sort of combine a lot of what you've learned from previous labs to complete this one. So there are two main parts of this lab. The first part is that we're going to use some logic. So if you like to do logic puzzles, you might like this a lot, to identify 6 unknown solutions. So this time around I chose to use the blue set of solutions. And here are the possible identities of those unknown solutions. So we can either have magnesium chloride, strontium chloride, sodium carbonate, sodium hydroxide, ammonium chloride, and I'm missing one. Which one am I missing? Oh, sulfuric acid. Okay, so these 6 solutions are numbered 8 through 13. And we're going to use some observations from some reactions to figure out what the identity of those solutions are. And we're just going to systematically react them with one another and see what happens. Now there are a couple of pieces of evidence that we're looking for to determine if a reaction occurred. The first is the formation of a precipitate. So all of these will be some sort of double displacement reaction that might be followed by decomposition. So you might see a precipitate, gas formation. So we'll observe bubbling if we have gas formation. Also a smell. So I'll be checking each of these for smell safely by stirring with a wooden applicator stick and wafting the smell towards my nose. And the smell is indication that ammonia has been formed, ammonia gas, which won't bubble as a solution because it's actually fairly soluble in water. However, we'll be able to detect it by its smell. The formation of heat. Heat formation usually occurs with acid-base reactions. So I'll fill the test tube as well. And finally, just no reaction. We might observe nothing happening, which also is important in helping us to identify things. All right, so since I don't know what anything is, I truly honestly don't. Of course I have a TA manual, but I did not look at it before doing the experiment. Helps with the intrigue. I'm going to glove up because with the unknowns I don't know which ones are corrosive and which ones aren't. So just better be safe. All right, so now that I'm gloved up, we're going to start reacting. So I'm going to be doing 2 milliliters of each, so about 1 full pipette. All right, so now we're first going to react. I'm just going to go through these so you can follow along with your matrix in your report page. So we're going to do 8 plus 9 first. So there's 8. Whoop, almost had it tip over. And 9. So we're not seeing, I don't see a precipitate there. Let's fill the test tube. Let's put it on my wrist here so I don't feel it getting warmer. No gas formation, didn't see any bubbling. All right, and let's do our, let's bring everything over here a little closer to me. Let's do a smell test here. No smell. Looks like that was a no reaction. All right, no reaction. I'm gonna write that down in my notebook. I want to keep track of this myself. So NR. I guess I could have did a little better job on NR. All right, let's do 8 plus 10. Put 8 in first. do 10. All right. We don't see a precipitate. Oh, it did get warmer. So we have some heat there. No bubbling. No smell. No smell. But we did observe it getting warm. So my matrix here, oh, I went the wrong way. Okay, or, and then heat. I'm supposed to go down for the blue. It's hard because this is just my lab notebook I write in, so I don't have any color coding. Okay, so let's do 8 plus 11. That was bubbling. Definite bubbling. All right, didn't get warmer. Let's try for a smell. No smell. All right, so the only thing we observed there would be bubbling. So I'm just gonna write gas. All right, let's do 8 and 12. So that was 8, this one is 12. Looked like it got a little cloudy when we mixed it. But I don't see very much of anything now. So it might have just been due to the mixing things together. Didn't get warm. Let's check for the smell. No smell. All right, so no reaction. All right, almost done with 8, so let's do 8 and 13. That's 8. And then 13. So I'm not seeing a precipitate here. Oh wait, there's a little bit of a precipitate. So there's a slight precipitate here. It just took a little while to form. All right, let's see if we feel warm. No. Let's check for a smell. No smell. We did get a precipitate. Sometimes chemistry just takes a little time. So I'm using PPT as precipitate. Nice and short, fits in the little box. All right, so yeah, you can definitely see a lot now. All right, so we've reacted 8 with all the other solutions, so we're kind of done with 8 for now. So let's do 9 with everything that comes after it. We already did 8 and 9, of course. So here's 9. Plus 10. It did get slightly cloudy. Let's stir and see if we can get some more. it got a little cloudy. So it looks like it's formed a slight precipitate. All right, let's check some of our other things. Heat. No, no heat. No smell. All right, so I would say a slight precipitate. It's definitely a little cloudy relative to what it was before. So I'm gonna write slight PPT. All right, so let's do 9 and 11. So that's 9, and now we're going to do 11. Okay, that's a definite precipitate. Totally got cloudy there. Okay, let's see if it got warmer. Didn't get warmer. No smell. All right, but we did get a precipitate. So PPT. Okay, so now we're going to do 9 and 12. So that was 9. Here goes 12. Looked like there was some sort of disturbance, but that could be because the solutions are mixing together. But no, no precipitate. Did not get cold or warm, either one. No smell. No smell. All right, so looks like that's a lot of nothing, no reaction. All right, now let's try 9 and 13. So that's 9. Okay, and then 13. All right, I don't see a precipitate there. No precipitate. Does not feel warm or cold for that matter. Let's try smell test. No smells. All right. All right, so we've now reacted 9 with everything. So no reaction on that last one. We're almost done. I think we're about halfway done if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're more than halfway done. Okay, so now let's react 10 with everything after it. We already did, 10 and 9 and 10 and 8. So what we're going to do, now we're going to do 10 and 11. So here's 10 plus 11. Okay. I don't see a precipitate there. I need to look a little closer sometimes because I can't see well. Doesn't feel warm. No gases. Let's try for the smell. I've been waiting for that smell. Not smell anything. Okay. So it looks like 10 plus 11, no reaction. Did I do that right? Yeah, 10 plus 11, no reaction. All right, 10 plus 12. Okay, here goes 10. Here goes 12. I get clouded up on pond mixing, but I don't see a precipitate. You probably don't either. All right, let's fill so it's not warm or cold. No gases. Smell. Yes. Oh gosh, yes. I don't know if you've ever smelled ammonia, but it's not good. Yep, so there's a smell. I was waiting for it though. Got a little worried. All right, so 10 plus 12 gives a smell. Smells like ammonia. All right, so now we need to do 10 and 13. There's 10. 13. It's getting cloudy. It looks like we are forming a precipitate there. So I'm swirling so you can see. Yep. So we did get a precipitate there. And that was 10 and 13. Okay, so now we're done with all with 10. Now we need to do 11 plus 12. So 11, 12 right next to it. Okay. So I'm not seeing any precipitate. Didn't bubble. Will it smell? No smell. Heat, no heat. No reaction. All right, so 11 and 12 give no reaction. Okay. Now let's do Let's do 11 and 13. Just making sure I keep things straight here. A lot of solutions. Okay, that's 11. This one's 13. Oh, that's definitely a precipitate. Look at that. Nice one. So 11 and 13 give a precipitate. Let's write that down. All right, and then finally we're going to do 12 and 13. That's our last one here. So 12. I didn't even check the other things for that one, but that's precipitate. It doesn't normally give you more than one. 12 and 13. So I saw a little bit of a disturbance as things mixed together. And there's a bit of a precipitate in there. As I stir it, you get a little bit more. All right, so 12 and 13 give a precipitate. All right. So that's all of our observations for part 1. I'll let you take a look at my chart here I constructed in my notebook. You just want to copy that down if you missed anything. Okay, now we're going to get ready to do part 2. All right, guys, we're ready to start part 2. So by now, hopefully you've gone through and you've systematically, logically figured out the identities of all those unknowns. You also hopefully have gone through and wrote some net ionic equations for those reactions and started to associate them with different observations. And then another thing you want to do before tackling this part is you want to think of unique tests to test for 4 cations that we're going to look for in an unknown mixture. So those ions are sodium plus, magnesium 2 plus, strontium 2 plus, and NH4 plus, the ammonium ion. Okay, so there's a unique test that we could do. So adding particular reagents, and the reagents you want to think about adding are things like sodium hydroxide. You can add sodium carbonate. You can add sodium sulfate. There are also some flame tests that you can do. So we're going to do one now, and there are 2 ions that can be detected with a flame test. The first one is sodium. Sodium gives a very well-known flame test. We saw this in experiment 1, that it turns to flame sort of a yellowish orange color. Another one that gives a very distinct flame test is strontium 2 plus. So that gives us a nice sort of a reddish color, brick red color. However, if you have an unknown that has both strontium and sodium in it, and you try to do a flame test, the sodium flame test is so strong it overpowers strontium, so you cannot positively identify strontium if you also have sodium. So you can only use the flame test really to detect sodium, and strontium only if it's all by itself, if it's not also with sodium. So that means if we see a indication that we have sodium, you know, if we get the yellowish orange color, you can't just say, oh, there's sodium and strontium. You can't do that. You can only say for sure that there's sodium. But if we get a strontium flame test, you're pretty sure you can be very sure there's no sodium. You can also be sure that there is strontium. All right, so I came up with a plan for doing some identification. And I chose to use unknown L. So we have several unknowns. I chose L this time. And I'm going to do 3 tests, hopefully to identify 2 or 3 ions. And I'll tell you, just to make things a lot easier, there are 3 ions in this unknown. All right, so let's do our flame test first. So let's get our Bunsen burner lit. Actually take this pair of gloves off for my flame test. Me and the gloves during heating are not friends. I get a little scared. All right. Gas is on. Oh, okay. Guess I didn't turn that on high enough. All right, let's adjust our flame. And we got best flame practices here. Okay. All right. So now what I'm gonna do, so here's my unknown L. I'm gonna take my glass stir rod. Gonna stir to get a little bit on. Let's do a flame test. Look at that. There's that nice brick red color. Let's do it again just for confirmation. So I don't notice the orange color at all. Well, just there. But that's only because it looks like it's getting the stir rod. All right. Oh, looks like it actually broke the end of the stir rod there. That's not good. I'll put that in the glass vase later. All right. So what am I going to write down here that I saw a red flame? Okay, so now let's come back over here to this lab bench. I turn my burner off, set this all down here, and I'm going to close the glass shield. All right, so I'm going to try two more tests. So I'm going to take a sample of my unknown, 2 milliliter sample, and I'm going to add a solution of sodium sulfate to it. Okay, I'm not seeing very much of anything. Let me find the wooden applicator sticks. Okay, the sodium sulfate doesn't seem to be doing very much. All right, I might try that one again. I'm gonna let it sit for a little while. All right, my next test is going to be, I'm gonna add to unknown L here, I'm going to add some sodium hydroxide. See what happens. Oh. So sodium hydroxide does give a precipitate. I'm going to write that down. And I'm also going to check for the smell. Oof. And I got a smell. So we got precipitate and smell. All right. And let's go back to that other test and look at that. It just took a little bit of time. So this is back to looking at the sodium sulfate plus unknown L. That gave a precipitate. It just took a little bit of time to form. So I'm going to go back and say precipitate. All right. So with those observations, I think we can probably figure out what's in this unknown. Remember, there are 3 ions. Okay, that is all, and that's enough.